Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans, and very disturbing developments in the upmarket area of Clifton Beach in Cape Town yesterday. A group of Africans gathered on the beach and started basically claiming it as their own. Clifton Beach has traditionally been a white beach, and it's a long way away from any African shanties or whatever. There's a huge divide in wealth between these African protesters and the whites who live on Clifton Beach, who tend to be quite affluent. Now, okay, that's probably a throwback from the apartheid days. Let's just accept that. And the number of affluent whites in South Africa is decreasing very fast, and that should be a huge concern for the black African population. But what was a really huge issue from what I've read about this are two or even three main things. Probably the most disturbing is a video which I'll show you now, where the leader of the African protesters says, "We are going to take these white houses. These whites are too arrogant. They think they can do what they like. We are going to occupy and take over their houses here at Clifton Beach." Now, I'll show you that video clip, then we'll have a look at the other.
Once we have collapsed it, and it made us suffer as the majority, are white people, because they don't reciprocate what Mandela said we must do to come together in an honest way. And we're angry because now we have to go back and speak about things that ought to have been solved in 1994. That's why we are here. And we want black people to feel safe everywhere in this country. We own everything. We own the sea. We're the majority. We can't be subjected to a small number of racists who are just privileged. Also, the houses here we must occupy, because I see that one person is languishing in one house while we are hemmed up in Khayelitsha. And one of the programs that we must do apart from this is occupy the land and occupy white people's houses, because they are overhoused, these people, and that's why they are arrogant.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now the second video clip that I'm going to show you, and I apologize for the quality of the first one, but in capturing that piece of the video, there's not much I can do about it. The issue I have with the second video clip is twofold. Firstly, they keep on talking about Clifton Beach being a public space, and they talk about how they were kicked off by private security people on a Sunday night, I think at 8 p.m. This is the African protesters. Now, let's make this quite clear. It wasn't just the African protesters who were kicked off, the Africans who were kicked off the beach, but also the whites were kicked off the beach. So it wasn't a racial thing. They just kicked everybody off the beach, and apparently the security firm is now saying that they did that at the request of the Metropolitan Police in Cape Town. Now, let's look at the two issues that relate to this little protest by the Africans. Okay, I've covered the issue about how they say they're going to just kick the whites out of their houses at Clifton Beach. Good luck with that. Now, the two issues here, the really big one is, again, we're talking about a public space, and the Africans, to get rid of evil spirits. Now, remember, this is witch doctor stuff, okay? To get rid of evil spirits, they brought a sheep onto Clifton Beach and they slaughtered it in a public space. And of course, there was a huge outrage or outcry about that amongst the white population. And the issue here is that you don't do that in a public space. Okay, if you go back to your house and you want to slaughter a sheep, that's fine. But you know, there were kids. And there were women, there were people who do not understand witchcraft there, and you're bringing that into their space, and that's wrong. And the other issue I had is that, you know, these African protesters were singing some of their little songs, and obviously they weren't covered very much, but you can guess which songs they are. So that's very confrontational. I thought the whites who you'll see actually standing off against the Africans were very controlled, whereas what the Africans have done is just inflamed an issue which should have just gone away. Now, I'm sure that in the next day or two this will become world news, and they'll leave out the fact that they slaughtered a sheep, but they'll say, hey, here's a case of Africans being thrown off a beach while the whites can go and stay on there, which is not the case. So look, judge for yourself what you see in the video that follows. It's a very, very disturbing development because, areas like Clifton Beach were seen as like the last sanctuary for, or safe sanctuary for whites, and it's clearly becoming more dangerous even in an area like that. Anyway, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye for now.
Take you back to Clifton Beach, and that is where we understand a fight has now broken out between, I guess, some members of, or should we say, residents of Clifton, clashing, of course, with the protesters, the 2,000 people that are expected there at Clifton Beach. Remember that this is over the incident that is now being branded as racist after a private security company decided that, allegedly decided that it was going to throw people off the beach, and some saying that this is actually a racist incident, and the City of Cape Town Mayor, Dan Plato, stating that, actually, all the people were thrown off that beach. There was no racial profiling, as some say there was. The fight right now, it appears, is over the sheep that is meant to be slaughtered as part of the cleansing ceremony, the protesters were saying. We saw the sheep earlier being brought onto the beach, and as you can hear from that resident, that enraged resident, she's quite upset about a sheep being slaughtered on the beach. Let's try and see if we can actually listen in.
Where's my phone? Well, tough if you don't like it. This is our land. Well, then you must be so happy you've upset one white woman. You've made your day. Yay! 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 I know you are right. Yay! You've made your day.
Was brought in earlier. We understand right now that the sheep may have been slaughtered at this stage, and that's why, therefore, you are seeing the friction that you are seeing on your screens right now. Let's try again to see if we can listen in into the exchange.
There was a guy.
Right, we will continue to bring you updates from that story in Clifton Beach and that disagreement between the protesters who wanted to slaughter a sheep on the beach. We are still no wiser as to what has happened to the sheep. It does appear that some residents are upset that a sheep was slaughtered at the beach, so the assumption would be that that sheep that you saw on your screens a little earlier may have been slaughtered already, but we'll